Yeah. Hey, hey.
Every man has a place. In his heart there's a space, and the world can't erase its fantasy. Take the ride in the sky
Ali.
on a ship fantasize. All your dreams will come true miles away, and we will live together until the 12 of never. Our voices will ring forever as
Welcome, welcome, everyone. Let me know where you're from in the chat.
every thought is a dream, pushing by in a stream, bringing life to the kingdom of
Hi,
Groowy.
Quintus.
Take a ride in the sky on a ship fantasize. All your dreams will come true miles away. Our voices will ring forever until the 12 of never. We all will live love forever as one. Come to see victory in a land called fantasy. Love and light for you and me to behold. To your soul is ecstasy. You will find all the kind that has been in search of you. Many lives has brought you to recognize it's your life now in review. Ooh, and as you stay for the play, fantasy has a song for you. Glowing light will see you through. It's your day, shining day, all your dreams are true. Ooh, as you climb in the sky with the wind as you fly away, give a smile from your lips and say, I am free, yes I'm free, now I'm on my way.
All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad that you are here. I'm very excited to share with you some things that I've been up to. It's become my passion. We have launched the Afrofuturism Discovery Academy, and I can't wait to get into it. But we only have 30 minutes, so I only give you a little bit right now. So if you're just joining us in the chat, let me know where you are from. I think I know everybody here. Let's see. Yep. So I consider all of you part of my village. So I want to just appreciate you all for supporting me and for being here tonight. On the screen, there's a question. I like to use this part of the question, what if, to kind of frame what Afrofuturism is all about. What if you could escape and go to a place where you get to make all the rules? Then where would you go? And who would you be? In the chat, do you have an answer for that question? Where would you go and who would you be? That's more, that's a deep question, actually. But just engaging in the thought of that question helps us to engage our imagination and to break free of the constraints of this life. And that's one of the tenets of Afrofuturism. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sharinda Bryant, educator, owner of Miss B's CRLS LLC, which stands for Culturally Restorative Learning Supports. My first program is Afrofuturism Discovery Academy. I'm also a co-founder of Redwood Learning Collective, singer, songwriter, mentor, visionary, all the things. And here are some of my beliefs as it relates to this particular project. Black children must see positive representations of themselves in their curriculum, period. I believe that teaching our full history is restorative. It can be, and it can be healing. And it helps us to reclaim our true identities. I also believe that the benevolent hearts of Black children have been broken by oppression. And because of this, they tend to adopt a false identity as a form of survival and protection. Oftentimes, our children are seen as defiant and angry in our classrooms and beyond. And I believe that there's a way to restore to them their benevolent hearts. And when you really love Black children, you believe that they do possess that. And finally, when our youth are able to see themselves in the future, they will build confidence in the present. So I want to introduce to you tonight a couple of the tools that we use in Afrofuturism, as well as give you the definition, the official definition for that. We'll take a look at a couple of tools that we can use in the classroom or in our homeschool situation. And then I'm giving out some resources. So our first tool is imagination. So I just have a little phrase here. They tried to strip us of our humanity. And if you know anything about the gateway here that's present, you'll know what this means. They tried to strip us of our humanity, but it has always been stored safe and sound in our imagination. It's in the wisdom passed down. It's in the language that we have to reclaim. It's in books and in memories. I believe it's still there. We just have to go back and get it. So just a little bit about imagination. By connecting with our imagination, we start to heal parts within ourselves that have been suppressed over time. That's the inner child. So if we can tap back into that childlike imagination, you know, that thing that makes a kid sit and wonder and stare off into space and create new things. If we could tap back into that, what would we discover? There's a consideration question there. What is one activity from your childhood that you would want to incorporate in your present life? I'll give you a second to think about that. Think back to you as a little one. So yes, we all have memories, and even just thinking about them, we're starting to engage our imagination and igniting that again. So that's one of our key tools in Afrofuturism. The second one is Sankofa. Sankofa is one of our main tools, which means to go back and get it. Yeah. Oh, you have the ring? Yes. There it is. Very cool. So yes, there's two symbols here. You see the one that kind of looks like a heart, and then there's this one that is the bird. And so if you notice this bird, his neck goes backwards and he has this egg. So it's said that the bird flies forward while looking back. And that's such a beautiful symbol of what we need to do here with Afrofuturism. We need to go back to our history pre-enslavement. We know that in most of us that's gone through K-12, we learned very little about our history, about African history or Black history, African American history. And if we can go back to how our ancestors lived prior to, there's such wisdom that exists there. So Sankofa, the Sankofa bird has this egg in its mouth. I'd like to know what you think the egg represents. And why do you think it holds it in its mouth and not its talons? While you think about that, we'll play a little song about Sankofa.
Sankofa makes history a current event. It looks back, but it's always going forward.
I reflect as I walk on ahead. Remember as I blaze a path. Precious jewels in my head. The future's powered by my past. We're trying to move ahead, move ahead. World can't hold this back no more. Time to move ahead, move ahead, move ahead and take what's yours. Back ahead to find your way, back into your destiny. Back ahead to find your way. Let the winds of yesterday fly you through the galaxy. Back ahead to find your way. Sankofa, harvest from a planted seed.
All right.
I don't think we all use the internet what we can use it for. When you mentioned that, I went ahead and looked it up. So at least the internet would give us an idea.
Okay.
But it says the Sankofa bird is a symbolic Ghanaian expression. Ghanaian. It represented by a bird whose head is looking back while holding an egg in her beak. Okay, which is her future. This is what it says. Okay, her feet facing forward also symbolizes moving into the future. Now that's what this written.
I think that that's a pretty clear, representation of what this means. I think that others that were interpreting what this egg being placed in the mouth, I think those are beautiful ideas too. I told my students, maybe the bird carries this egg in its mouth because that's the place where you manifest things from, right? Like if I speak it into existence, then it's more likely to be. So couple the symbol of an egg with the fact that it's in the mouth, that when I speak, I'm going to speak a new thing. Yes, no, I appreciate that. Words definitely have power. They've done experiments even with plants, and you speaking a positive word to this plant and a negative word to that plant, and that plant withers when it hears negativity. So how much more will we blossom if we use our words to uplift? Yes. Let me give you the definition of Afrofuturism. This genre embraces an infinite range of possibilities for Black people to live free and whole in a future of their design. Afrofuturism ignores boundaries of normal human possibility. That's where that imagination comes in. Afrofuturism, I can fly, I can time travel, I can explore unknown worlds, I can create my own world if I wanted to. Now, why would I need to do that? It's just a way of opening up my mind to what is possible. Oftentimes, and this life is tough, for a variety of reasons. And I believe that it's almost psychological warfare that's happening to convince us that there is no hope, that I can't do, that I'm stuck, and all of these sort of ideas. So Afrofuturism challenges us to think of ourselves differently in a new place, and challenges us to start to create the things that we want to see. Here's a summary. This genre, we can find examples of it in a lot of this are subtopics like literature, music, arts, STEM, tech, and technology is a huge thing. Of course, we're talking about future things. So a lot of people are getting into this genre who are, scientists and architects and all of that. So we're combining African wisdom and history with imagination and things to come. And I want to create a new thing, but I want it to be based in African history and wisdom. So that is our definition. Let me give you some highlights, some people in this genre. So we have this gentleman named Sun Ra. He's probably the godfather of this genre. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And yes, he believed that he was abducted by aliens, and these aliens told him to come back and to use his music to teach the people how to get free. So after that, we see Parliament coming on the scene, Parliament P-Funk, psychedelic, all of that genre. When I started to learn about this, I remember, listening to this music and seeing all these artists, they're like out of this world, but we didn't have a name for what they were doing. We always knew that this genre exists, but we just didn't know it was called Afrofuturism. That didn't come till more recently. A man named Mark Derry wrote an essay, I believe in the early 90s, and he coined that term, Afrofuturism. It kind of stuck. So we have Janelle Monáe there, probably one of our modern examples of a musician who's using these Afrofuturistic themes in her music. Now, I didn't know The Wiz, and I'm going to do a course on this eventually because I love The Wiz, but The Wiz has some Afrofuturistic themes in it too. Over here in our literature genre, we have Octavia Butler and Toni Morrison. We have this book called Bitter Root. If you're into comic series, you have to look this up. Bitter Root is about a family, and it's their job to rid the world of the disease of racism. In this Bitter Root series, racism turns people into monsters, and it's this family's job to capture them and to cure them so that they return to their humanity.
That ought to start working now.
If we had the serum.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, Afrofuturism, the text there by Miss Womack, one of the first books that I read that really started to get me into this. And so let me just kind of recap what this is for. This is for our young people, for their empowerment. We give them accurate history, affirming history, so that they can step boldly into their legacy. When they can look back and they can see the power from which they came, then their possibilities are endless. And so here's some photos of just some beautiful photos just to inspire you of what's possible. We're trying to tap into Black genius, trying to give them agency so that they can speak and say, this is what I want and what I need. We want them to be empowered, and we want them to create a legacy for the next gen. These pictures come to you from Creative Soul Photo. Very, very awesome photography company. They do beautiful work. Let's briefly touch on how we do this in the classroom. This is just one slide, one idea, and I will be giving out this slide with these resources in just a bit. We want to increase Black representation in STEM. Yes, science class. When I go to science, when I take science class, I should see myself somewhere. That's the goal. So these are just some examples of activities that people can embed into their curriculum. I call this other section, Are You Serious, B? So Sirius is a star that the Dojon tribe of Mali, Africa, they said they discovered it. There's a whole story behind it. I don't have time to get into it, but you can look it up later. It's very interesting. So at this time, I just want to reference a couple of classes that I'm doing over the summer. So I am running a couple of courses for young people. The Intro to Afrofuturism, it's a 5-week course. And we get into more details of some of the things that I've talked about tonight. And my new course is called This Is Why I'm Fly. I'm super excited about that one. We're going to use the metaphor of flying. We're going to trace it from African folklore to hip hop. And we're going to see how people have used it over time. So even though that's for young people, some adult friends of mine like, oh, I need to take that. Come on, you can come on. So let me put my website in the chat here. If you're interested or you know people, young people that need this education, please, please, please refer them. I share my website. And let's get them enrolled and have a good time. Let me pause now for some questions. Does anyone have any questions for me? Oh, age range. Good question. I would say I have taught Intro to Afrofuturism to second graders. So I just kind of scale it back a little bit. So second graders to 9th grade, 9th, 10th grade. It's a large range there. If I have some older students, I can always, add some things so they're challenged as well.
You know of Black Sands comics, right?
Yes, Black Sands Comics. Yes, they have a series. Mm-hmm. That's very cool.
There's a few Black comics out there.
Yeah, yes, it's increasing quite a bit, and it's good to see.
And I've been into them ever since. I haven't been reading them lately, but I've been into comics ever since. Really reading them, well, I got into more of the underground, not adult, but they were just like, I guess they were like comics from like Europe and comics you just wouldn't find on the shelf, on the stands like that, but they were futuristic.
Yes.
And a lot of them have information and messages that actually let you know what's going to happen in the future, but they don't say it to where you can actually understand it. But you look at it, you say, I see some things that are going on right now that's comparable. It's like, wow,
Yeah. Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower, I believe. Yes, Lee. And I told you, Lee, if you wanted to just say something about how you are using Afrofuturism in the classroom.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Lee Briggs. I'm coming from Wisconsin. I think I met you through Sister Sci, one of the comment feeds on Sister Sci-Fi,
Yes.
which is a great resource. I am a middle school, for lack of a better word, a middle school shop teacher. And I teach middle school students. All of the 7th grade students and all the 6th grade students in my school are required to take my class. I start them on, we do CAD, we do building with, we still make birdhouses, but we design them in CAD first. And we do computer programming and build these like gadgets and microcontrollers. And they're about to have kind of an investor fair where people are, where their peers are coming and deciding whether or not their stuff is going to be invested in or not. their various gadgets. So it's a creative space that I get to manage. I've been into science fiction since forever and become a huge nerd of the science fiction, the genre of Afrofuturism, since reading How Long Till Black Future Month. And it's excellent audiobook, which is wonderfully done. And that led me to make this deep dive into Octavia Butler and all of her stuff, N.K. Jemisin and all of her stuff. Neat things. But anyway, where that comes into my teaching background is I decided to kind of bring as much of the Afrofuturist themes, that Sankofa thing, into my classroom, where I'm doing my whenever I introduce a new topic and whenever I get the chance to talk to us about what we're learning, let's talk about the history of this topic. Let's talk about where this came from. When we talk about measurement, let's talk about the pyramids. Let's talk about how this great architectural achievement that's withstanded thousands of years, created by African kings, it was seen as like something magical, and the same tools that they use to build the pyramids are the ones we're going to be using to build our birdhouse. All those things are still relevant. And when we talk about all of the amazing people in programming and history and bringing all those diverse voices, making as much the environment of my classroom a place where wherever your background is, you are welcome, and where you get the tools in my room to build your future. And you, my students, are going to be the future. My classroom is one of those places where I'm going to try to enable you to build the future you want to see, that is going to be reflective of you and where you come from, rather than me trying to fit them into a mold. I could wax poetic forever on it because it's something I'm really passionate about. But that I've seen so much buy-in from so many of my African-American students. But I've also seen a tremendous appreciation from my Caucasian students and my white students, of the wider scope of these things of these topics and subjects, and envisioning, I think, of the future that they could have, where everybody's welcome and everybody has something to contribute, culturally, but also scientifically and whatnot.
No, I was just thinking, like, one of the things that is the essence of Afrofuturism in terms of being Blackness in like white society. When you first asked the question, like about what was really shocking to me was about imagine myself. For the first few 20 seconds, I couldn't do it. And I have all my degrees are STEM. I have a PhD in STEM from one of the top universities in this world.
Yes, they do.
And shut off. There is some Afrofuturism in me, but that's the thing. It's like I've had to live. I've learned I don't advertise it, because when that part of me gets expressed, it can get suppressed, and that's with all the privileges. And so I do think it's really interesting that, coming from identity, and the thing that's exciting though is that there are all kinds of backgrounds in this country now. And
I just want to appreciate all of you for your comments. I'm feeling full, and I'm feeling like we need to have more space to talk about these sort of things, to exchange ideas. So I'm going to be thinking about how we can, periodically come to the table and have some more discussions. I love listening. I love hearing your thoughts. And I just, again, want to appreciate you all for being here tonight. So I look forward to building with you all, to having your young people in your circles join me this summer for Intro to Afrofuturism or This Is Why I'm Fly. I want to hear your feedback, even of this session, and your ideas for future courses that I could build for your youth. So thank you so much. I'm going to play a little song by a new artist called Iniko. And as we are exiting here, so again, thank you and have a great night.
Even beyond it, I am a common
Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.
You too.